In the peaceful village of Okakoro, where goats had right of way and gossip spread faster than wildfire, there lived a man who called himself Barrister Waka. Nobody knew his real name, not even his landlord. He was tall, had a large, lopsided afro, always wore oversized second-hand suits, and carried a tattered briefcase that looked like it had been through the Nigerian Civil War. His shoes never matched, and his glasses had one lens missing. But oh, could he talk? He had a booming voice and a vocabulary filled with long, confusing words like jurisprudentially, perpendicular injunction, and counter affidavit. Of course, none of these words made sense in any actual legal context. But the villagers, not knowing any better, were deeply impressed. "Oh, that man is a genius," they would say. He said my neighbor has domestic audacity and legal insolence. He strutted through the village like a man on his way to the Supreme Court, despite wearing a second-hand suit 2 sizes too big and shoes that didn't match. He would stop in the middle of the road, raise his hand to no one in particular and shout. As a custodian of constitutional concoction, I declare this junction legally mine for 3 minutes. One sunny morning, a new face arrived. She was tall, graceful, and mysterious, Miss Koi. Her bright red high heels clicked confidently on the dusty ground, and she carried a smart briefcase filled with real law books, not storybooks like Waka's. She introduced herself with full pride: Barrister Koi Esquire, Bachelor of Laws, First Class, University of Benin. Called to bar, 2011. Koi said she had only come to visit her grandmother. But in just 2 days, she had already sensed something strange going on in the village, especially around the famous tree where Barrister Waka often held his fake court sessions. Waka was holding court between 2 angry farmers who were arguing over a chicken. The bird had laid eggs in both their compounds, and they both claimed ownership. Waka, acting like a real judge, cleared his throat and said, by Section Kukuruko of the Domestic Poultry Act, the chicken belongs to the land that receives the first egg in the morning. The crowd clapped. Waka beamed, but Koi calmly raised her hand. With a small smile, she asked, "Excuse me, Barrister. Which law exactly is that?" Waka paused. He squinted, scratched his head, and replied dramatically, "Young woman, when you reach level 18 in law, you'll understand these things." From that day, she began watching him closely. She started investigating, collecting all the fake papers Waka had made, talking to the villagers he had tricked, and writing down everything. Word spread like wildfire through the village. A new lawyer had arrived, and she was asking questions. Okon, Barrister Waka's anxious secretary, rushed to his house, breathless and panicked. "Sir, there's trouble," he exclaimed. "There's a new lawyer in town, a woman. She's been questioning the villagers. I'm scared. If she keeps digging, she'll find out the truth. She'll expose you, they'll all know you're a fraud." Barrister Waka's face darkened with worry. The thought of being unmasked, of losing his influence and mock authority, unsettled him deeply. He paced the room, mind racing. "She must be stopped," he muttered, "before she ruins everything." Driven by fear and desperation, Barrister Waka devised a sinister plan. One moonless night, he sent a group of hired thugs to Miss Koi's home, intending to silence her before she could expose him. That night, under the cover of darkness, they arrived at her house. Bam! They burst in and swiftly apprehended Miss Koi. Before she could react, they had her bound and blindfolded. In silence and shadows, the masked men dragged her away to a hidden location, a secret place Barrister Waka had carefully prepared for this very moment. It was isolated, unknown to the villagers, and perfect for keeping secrets buried. Barrister Waka believed he had finally won. Once again, the village of Okakoro was silent. No one questioned his verdicts, no one challenged his fake legal terms, and most importantly, Miss Koi was gone. The one person smart enough to expose him, the elegant lawyer with real books, real knowledge, and real power, had vanished. But Miss Koi's grandmother, who she had come to visit, noticed her disappearance. Miss Koi wasn't in her room the next morning, so she raised an alarm. The villagers gathered and everyone was in shock because of the sudden disappearance of Miss Koi. But Barrister Waka wasn't bothered. He sipped lukewarm malt beneath the mango tree and smacked. "Case closed," he muttered, brushing imaginary dust from his oversized second-hand suit. She couldn't handle the heat of level 18 law. Miss Koi Koi had humiliated him, questioned his imaginary poetry act, and dared to investigate his forged documents. He thought he was safe now. That he had silenced the only voice brave enough to challenge him. What he didn't know was that Koi Koi's father was not an ordinary man. Colonel Edwin Okoji was a retired military giant, known for swallowing glass during parades and disciplining soldiers with a single stare. When he received the news from Miss Koi Koi's grandmother that his daughter was missing, he didn't call the local police. He mobilized the unit, 3 black jeeps tore into Okakoro on the 3rd morning of her disappearance, kicking up dust and fear. Villagers dropped their yams. The palm wine joint went silent. Barrister Waka, halfway through delivering another fake judgment about land spirits and stolen beans, heard the sound of boots, military boots. His face drained, Colonel Okoji stood tall at the center of the village square, holding a megaphone and a photo of his daughter. "Where is Miss Koi Koi?" His voice thundered like rain on zinc roofing. Waka froze. His hand trembled. His wig shifted sideways. Slowly, he tried to tiptoe away. "You!" one soldier shouted. "Isn't that the man with the red briefcase?" He ran, he sprinted through Okakoro like a hunted squirrel, past the roasted corn cellar, past the herbalist hut, dodging chickens and curses. One shoe flew off. His glasses bounced on his face, one lens still missing. The red briefcase flapped in his hand like a wounded bird. He leapt over a child's bucket bath and slammed into a cassava basin. That was where they caught him, dragging him through the village square. The soldiers didn't need to say a word. Everyone knew. Justice had arrived in full uniform. They found Miss Koi Koi hours later, weak but fierce, sitting calmly in the dusty old cell. When she stepped into the sunlight, her presence lit the square. She adjusted her skirt, looked directly at Waka, and said, "You wanted to bury the truth. But the truth digs its way out." The crowd erupted with cheers. Barrister Waka was taken away in the back of a military truck. His reign was over. Weeks later, a wooden sign was placed under the mango tree where he used to shout his fake laws. It read, "Court closed. Real law now in session." And Waka, he now sweeps the corridors of a real courthouse in prison uniform. His wig has been confiscated. His red briefcase, displayed as evidence. He tells stories to other inmates of his glory days and dreams of staging a courtroom comeback, but even the prison rats no longer take him seriously. And so, the legend of Barrister Waka, the lawyer with no law, came to a pitiful end, not with a gavel, but with handcuffs, cassava, and disgrace. Moral of the story: truth will always catch up with lies. No matter how convincing or long-lasting a deception seems, the truth has a way of rising to the surface. Waka built a career on fake laws and forged confidence, but it only took one real voice and a little investigation to bring it all crashing down. Never underestimate quiet strength. Miss Koi Koi didn't shout or threaten, she simply acted with intelligence, calm authority, and quiet persistence. Her strength wasn't loud, but it was powerful enough to unmask a fraud and restore justice. Power without integrity leads to ruin. Waka abused the trust of his community for selfish gain. His false power gave him temporary fame, but without integrity, it all ended in disgrace. Real respect is earned, not faked. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and share. See you on the next story. Bye for now.